Hey guys, here we go. Next to the last shave, I did the counting. I brought all my thumbnails that I recorded in my camera, all the videos that I had uploaded, and I have not published them, with the notes that they need to have and all that. But I at least now know where I stand, and this is the 30th shave with Midnight Stag that I started on August 1st. And we did have to go a little bit farther past August, but 31 shaves with Stag is kind of the spirit of the thing as far as I'm concerned. As usual, the gear, Midnight Stag from Chiseled Face in the soap, splash, and cologne. The other piece of software is the Semogue Owners Club boar brush. It's been soaking for 10-15 minutes. Timeless open comb, stainless steel 68 gap razor. Nacet blade, 473 is today's number for uses on the blade. My plan today is just to test things out a little bit because I do have 2 more days left in the month before I start opening things up to different razors. I'm going to keep using the Nacet though. I want to churn on it until I get to 500. I'm going to be able to switch. I might not even switch to brushes because I love the way this thing has turned a corner in this month. And I love how the density has increased as we've gotten more tips to be split. And the split tips then also give along a sense of softness that's greater than it has been when we started the month. And so I did take a shower a little while ago, and I kind of let my hair air dry, so it's all puffy right now. But I don't have any skin oils on my face like I might usually do when I start shaving. So I'm going to get, instead of my usual 3D printed lather bowl with all kinds of ridges and things like that, I am going to use a plain old soup bowl like you can get at the Dollar Tree. And while the other day I used the Santa Fe bowl from the Dollar Tree, it's a different type of model. It's similar in the opening size here. It doesn't have this slight flared out lip. And it also, this is more of a U shape. The Santa Fe bowl had a more of an angled bevel right here and then a slight deeper spot right here. And so this one doesn't get my knuckles into it quite as much. But with that angled surface, see, this has a larger flat area than that Santa Fe bowl did. And so I like the fact that this one doesn't get my fingers as messy, but I do miss that angled piece because that really helped to flex those brush bristles. So Dollar Tree, this one's more often available at the Dollar Tree than the Santa Fe bowl. This is just this shape right here. What is it? Royal Norfolk is the brand. And if you are curious about bowl lathering, I like this $1 bowl much better than the Captain's Choice bowl, the fine lather bowl, so much better. And so what we're going to do today, our goal here is think about the texturing that we have at the bottom of other bowls, and this one doesn't have any. And so I'm going to do everything the same as the past shaves with bowls like this. And we'll see how the lather ends up, right? Is it more difficult to put together? Still got the donut. I'm bragging about that because it just doesn't happen very often with me and my large soap collection. I don't say that to brag. I actually say that I need to kind of thin it down. It comes with problems, right? You've got soap that would potentially go bad before you can use it. You have a sense that you're wasting stuff, having ability to choose is terrific. But the good thing is I can resell it once I figure out what I'm going to do. All right. So 10 swirls, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, once you do start getting a donut, then that can affect your loading. A small donut, a small little hole like this one is no no real big game changer there, but when it gets larger, you'll have to increase your load times. I have had this soap run out before, and it was for Austere August, the very first time I competed in it, because I used Williams Mug soap, used it for the whole month of August, and it was about halfway used up. And so I continued using it until it was used up, because I was just curious at that time. It was 4 years ago or something like that. I was curious how far the Williams would go. And for me, it went about 60 shaves. And so we do get a little agitation here, because as the brush is rotating and it contacts the corners of the bowl, obviously if you're moving across and all you're touching is the bottom of the bowl with just a flat surface, the bristles really aren't moving very much at all against each other. And so you're not going to get a lot of action there. And so it's kind of at the edges that you can really, that the real action of mixing happens here. I've got my 40 milliliters of water to pour in. Why don't we go ahead and, that's 15. We could potentially see a little bit less air come into this lather, maybe, right? That's a hypothesis, because we don't have those ridges to potentially introduce more air. Now visibly, I do see plenty of bubbles. It's quieter, it's a whole different sound than you usually hear from me. Just mix until it looks right, till it starts to settle down, till the bubbles predominantly disappear. It'll start to thicken, of course. Also, I'm going to remember to press down on my brush to make sure I get the lather, the soap, up into the center where the water is, where there is some more water. I don't want that water to go unworked into the lather. Still getting my fingers pretty soapy here. That's what the lather looks like so far. It's got a pretty stiff body though. It's not moving around too much on its own with gravity. But that's okay. When this soap base, when you take it that far, that's usually too wet. But you can definitely see we've got plenty of lather, so that little 10 swirl method. And remember, I've said this a lot, I maybe haven't said it lately, but if I were to pick up this soap in a year, something like that, the 10-second might not be enough. See, we're riding this soap every day, and so every day it's getting a little bit of moisture put into it from the brush. And so that is I call that kind of residual moisture, and so that's going to help the soap to load onto your brush. If you wait and time goes by and the soap loses that moisture, then you lose that advantage, and so the moisture won't be there to help the soap come up. And maybe you have to load, if you haven't seen that soap in a year, maybe you have to load 30 seconds or 20 seconds. So it's not too bad. And then, just like the month started with me with this soap, I was able to, load for 20 seconds or something like that at first. But then with each day, I was able to lower the time until I got all the way down to about 3 seconds, and then I switched to counting swirls. All right, so we've got a lot of lather here. It's very kind of billowy. It's still got some stiffness to it, and so that's good. Maybe it's not overhydrated. So we have just whipped up this lather with, Get some of this excess off before it falls off. With a bowl with no ridges, it may have taken just a little bit longer, but it seems to be the same lather. So, my point, and I've done this test a few times, and that's why I made the comment a while back that said, listen, prioritize the size and shape of the bowl that you might be interested in rather than any kind of texture. Because the size is gonna, if it's too short, then you're gonna be working so hard to get your lather to stay in the bowl. It's frustrating. Too tall, and you may get super messy hands that you may or may not want. You also may find it hard to move around in with your fingers. Too narrow, again, hard to move around in. Too wide, too wide, and you're just kind of moving around with just a lot of movement that you don't need, keep it in kind of medium-sized circles. But I guess too wide is better than too narrow. And this needs a little bit of water. Just going to take some drops from the faucet. But one of the worst is like the original Captain's Choice bowl. For other people, it seems to work all right. Okay, so this is just for me and people who are similar to me. It's like the worst combination. The sides are too low, and then it's too small in diameter. And so it doesn't hold enough lather, and the low sides make it real easy for it to overflow. But apparently other people make a lot less lather than I do. It's good for people who mainly face lather, but they want to take a bowl and just work their loaded brush up a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit, and then use that bowl as a repository for extra lather so that when they get to that third pass, it's there for them, that kind of thing. And it works well for that purpose. All right. This is a little bit drier than usual, but it'll be all right. Use number 473 of the Nacet. So that means just 27 more uses until we get to the big next century mark. I have no idea when things are going to change with the blade, if it's gonna, I think when it's gonna die a slow death whenever it does, is my guess. It's just gonna stop cutting as well. I don't think, since I don't do against the grain shaving, I don't think I'm gonna get a real tuggy experience that heralds the end of the blade. I think it's gonna be an inefficiency kind of twist at the end. And so in that sense, it's harder because that makes me have to always evaluate, how many passes is it taking me to get my results? Is that acceptable? Is the closeness that I'm getting reasonable, But that's all right. I mean, it's easy to count passes. And I don't really mind 5 passes. As you regular viewers know, it just doesn't take very long to do a pass. And while you're doing a pass, what are you doing? You're sitting here relaxing, you're smelling some pretty good scents. No matter what soap you're using, it's got to be one you're enjoying. especially once you have taken down your, 50% of the growth or something like that, then the passes can be quite fast. Like these first two are probably, if I were to do 3 more passes after this, I bet they would easily be shorter than maybe even one of these first 2 passes. All right, a little water in my goatee, so I got that out. I don't think I want to keep adding any more water to this lather. I think it's about where I want it. I will switch to a different razor just for fun, try to find another one that will work well. I do enjoy the timeless a lot. The handle here is terrific even when the lather gets on it. I like the weight of this one with the average handle. The longer handle I had the barber handle. That was the longer version. It made it kind of too heavy for me. I like the titanium timeless as well because the weight gets even more middle of the road instead of being slightly heavy, and you still get the same great smoothness. And 4th pass here, plenty of lather in here. Enjoying the feel of the brush, man. Oh, you know what? I need to go look and see. Well, you know what? If you want to know how many uses are on this brush, just look in the video description. Because by the time this video posts, it'll obviously have that information on it. But I think it's less than 100. Might be around 90 by now. Might be more like 85, but that's what we're looking at. Pretty sure it's more than 80. I'm going to take a slight with this pass, a little upturn, a little up slant to increase efficiency. Ah, yes, that got me where I wanted to go. Very happy with that. Full rinse now. Well, we have, boy, I bet I've got 3 more passes of lather in here. So this is making an efficient amount of lather as well as the textured bowls do. So very nice. And I think this just serves to say, if you don't have the budget, you're not really missing anything by getting some kind of, textured bowl like this. This simple one is the right size, and it gets a great lather put together for you for just $1. So it's a great option to see if you are going to like bowl lathering. And also for those of you who may be a little starving college students or just starving anybody who can't quite foot the bill for a nicer lather bowl. That is just fine. And then when you're not shaving with it, it'll be fresh and clean for you to eat your noodles, your ramen noodles, right? All right, the water we used, I don't think I added any more after the 15. just some drops. I think 16 really is about where I sit there. And going to give the blade a rinse, open up the head a little bit, give it a rinse, and pat it dry in just a minute. The splash, I'll get it. Here's what the brush looks like after a good towel stropping and rinsing. Nice thing about a bowl is that when you are, I like to fill it with water for the most part, tilt it a little bit because you don't need the whole thing full, and use that to rinse your brush. Give your good brush a good flushing, and the water can just flow out as it comes in and then take away a lot of the suds. And then of course you can take it away for a minute with water in there, look at it, and then whenever it runs clear, whenever you're working your brush in there and the water's clear, you know you're clean. Midnight Stag Aftershave Splash by Chiseled Face. All right. $473. Today's blade count. We'll go ahead with the Midnight Stag cologne as well. Seal up the soap. That little dot in the middle is going to get bigger and bigger each time. So one more time of using this gear and we'll have the 31 shaves of August with Midnight Stag done. And in a way, it always feels weird because you're glad to be able to start using other stuff when it's done, but you are also missing. You start to miss that, almost like that relationship you've had for the whole month. And I know I feel mixed like that. I know a lot of people aren't mixed. They're happy to move on, but I'm kind of mixed a little bit. All right, there we go. Good shave, good data today, proving that a bowl like this generates, it may do it slightly less efficiently, but it generates just as good of a lather as a specially made, contoured, textured lather bowl. There we go. Hey, thank you so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Hopefully there was something in this video to help you out. You take care now. Goodbye.